my name is Cindy from BDancewear.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to take a halter leotard and create your own unique look. It's a simple thing to do that I've seen very expensive online on some different custom websites. So if you want to find out how to do some sort of simple braiding like this, just using a basic halter leotard, this just might be the video for you. So what we're going to start off with are, we've picked strips of a mesh, lace, and a sequin. You can go with more fabrics, or I wouldn't really suggest less, because it'll look too matched up and too even then if you just have two. It'll look too much like a weave. So by mixing up the colors, you want to make sure on this, don't go with a pattern. Don't go sequin, lace, mesh, sequin, lace, mesh. Do a couple lace together, a couple mesh, spread it out so it's really random and there's not anything that the eye will say, oh, okay, I see a pattern. Your eye wants to see a pattern, but if you can mix it up enough and go with skinny strips and wide strips and just randomly grab them. So I'm going to show you right now how to do this. Let's go ahead and slide this to the side. Now we're going to take our basic leotard here that is a halter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie it around the neck, tie it around the girl where you want it to be. I've taken a strip of fabric that I've sewn, and I'm going to pin that around her neck. So I've got this tied up as high as it needs to be, and now I've got this pinned around her neck. There we go. So that creates the base of the collar. And now what we're going to do is we're going to sew it here. When we go to the sewing machine, we'll sew it here and here. Let's make sure we're not going through the mannequin. Now, if you're pinning this on a girl, I suggest that you use safety pins. Okay, so now we're going to start with this side. I'm going to save this one for the collar. It's nice and fat. Okay, so we'll start with this side, and I'm going to start pinning right here. Let's take off my glasses because they're going to fall off. We'll start pinning over here, nice and high like that. And then we're going to pin this first one down to where we want it to be. So that's our base where we're going to start, where we really get a nice angle. I think I want to move that a little further down. The beauty of this, you can see we sew on the top, but keep it really a rough edge all the way around. So then let's put on a nice fat sequin. When you're going over this area here, you want to keep it nice and tight together so that you don't see skin. If you want, you could sew a piece in here before you start, and that would be fine. Let's go with a solid. You can use lace, you can use Lycra, you can use mesh, you can use anything that you want. Completely up to you. So you're just going to keep going like this. Then you're going to hit, once you hit up here, catch the collar also. So you're going to sew onto the collar, sewing the collar onto the halter. There we go. And just keep this. So see how this is here? I think I'm going to scoot it over a little bit closer so we have a little more room. Let's go here and here. Now let's go with, instead of just going sequin, let's go ahead and go with another mesh. Okay, and then next thing you're going to want to do is so you'll want to fill it all the way across here so it can go down. I'm going to go ahead for time's sake and show you this next part. So you're going to go ahead and pin here. And these side pieces are going to go down this side here. And then you just keep pinning these. Now I'm going to take, remember to not make it consistent, not make it even. And you just keep going on and on down the side. Then once you get everything pinned here and everything pinned here, you're just going to weave it in and out. Now you're going to want to do, I would say the first one, here, you know what, let's start this a little higher up on this side. I think it'll work out better because then you get a double weave. Let's go here. So in and out. That first one, you'll want to tack this down here too. Then let's go with a sequined. Now remember, this has ones coming all the way down this side, so it's not so obvious. Now on this one, I'm going to go under 2. I'm not going to just stick under 1. I'm going to make it random and different. And then let's see with the lace. Now I'm going to take a skinny one and I'm going to double it up here so I can weave it opposite directions. So I can then take this skinny one and I can weave in and out. So see how we're switching it in over and under, yet it is still keeping that weave. So basically you'll want to make sure this goes all the way across and then all the way down and partially down the side, and then weave it all together random, not the same at all. And then the next step, I'm going to show you, we're going to sew it down. So I'm going to go ahead off camera. I'm going to complete this weave so that you can see it, and then we'll come back and we'll sew this item, okay? So what I've done is I've completed the braiding here. I put some extra strips, pin them across the neck because we're going to sew them down now. What we're going to do is we're going to take the machine and we're going to sew a zigzag here, a zigzag, bringing these down so that then we can go in and trim those down, and then a zigzag with the everything that's gathered up right here. Then we're going to go here, and then we're going to make sure and attach the neck, and then we'll deal with the back. We'll go ahead and take the back, and either you can keep it a tie or you can put a clip on it. So let's go ahead and take this puppy off here. And then you'll just want to make sure that everything is zigzagged down, nice and secure. You don't want, I'm going to mark a pin in the neck where we took it apart so I know exactly where to sew it down to. And then we'll go ahead and slowly take this off. Making sure any pins that are stuck. Now, if you're doing it on a girl, you'll want to be really careful. You don't want to accidentally poke them. So let's go ahead and slide this thing off. And there we go. So, got it all pinned together. Now we're just going to set the zigzag on the machine. I'm going to start on one side and move around to the next. So let's start here. We're going to make it, if you don't have a stretch stitch, do a zigzag. And when you're done, make sure and stretch it. Make sure that whatever it is, it doesn't snap. If it snaps, go back and reinforce where it snapped. And then we're just going to go ahead and, now as I go down, I'm going to take these little spots and open them up nice and flat the way I would want them to look. And then you're just going to keep going around. Now, something that you're going to want to be careful with when you do this is you don't want to accidentally sew the lining funky. So make sure and feel from underneath that this is exactly the way you want it. Now you've got those pins in there. So that'll help a lot, keep things in place. Don't forget, fold. Now I use my pins, I pin my pins where I want my seams to go. So I have a nice guide of how I want it to look. And then I can go back in afterwards and trim everything up. Now I'm doing it for speed's sake, but a lot of times what I'll do on this is I will sew down, and then when I get to the front and back, I'll back stitch so that way it keeps it nice and secure. Then now I'm going to switch up. Make sure everything, let's untwist this. Make sure everything, there's no pins underneath that I'm not seeing. Now I'm going to sew up this bottom bunch right here. And let's go ahead and zigzag back and forth, making sure the bottom layer is not caught in there. See multiple spots with pins in it. Let's pull all these out so I don't mess up my machine. And let's go ahead and go back and forth some, just so you understand what I'm talking about. And then here. Okay, now I'm going to pull it out because it's easy for me once I get to that spot. Sometimes it's too much gathered up fabric. Then I'm going to start from the right side, making sure that I catch the halter part of the leotard. And don't go over any pin heads, because that would really jam up my machine. So, and I want to make sure that it's really caught on the leotard all the way down. And because there is that open neck on here, I want to make sure and spread these open nice and wide. Let's see, there's a pin head missing in here somewhere. There it is. Let's pull those out as we go. And I'm making sure and catching the edge of the fabric. We can go back in and trim. I've pinned a little past where I want, just because it's a lot easier to go back and trim it up than if you've pinned it too short. And I think this is the last one. Here. And back. Okay. So now we've got all around this part down and up the side. If you want like mine, I've taken this, see that raw edge, and I've folded it over and sewn it down like that. But I kind of like that raw edge sticking out. It also will give a little bit more coverage. Now, I'm going to go ahead and zigzag across the neckline. Let's make sure all those little funky pins are out. We're going to be sewing all the different pieces together. And then if you want the neck to go higher, you can just extend the pieces a little bit taller. Really easy to do. Make sure and take these pins out. Let's go. And the beauty of this is it's so random and patchy. Nobody's going to look real close and say, wait, is there a zigzag? What's going on? They're just going to really focus in on all the pieces. And they won't even notice, if you do it tight enough, they won't notice the open skin underneath. Now for this, see, we ended up, because we went across the neck, some extra pieces. So what I'm going to do is I have pinned where it comes together. I'm going to take those pieces and I'm going to sew them on the pinned spot, gather them up. Let's take that pin out. And back stitch. That way I can trim it off, and if the tie is the same color, you won't notice. You can still tie it, and it looks really cute to have it randomly hanging down. Let's get the other side where we pinned it. And that secures these pieces into place. So then at the top of the neck, you'll just go and cut them next to the zigzag. So here it is from, oh, look at this. I missed a spot right here. Let's close this gap. Always double check, always make sure that you've got all the pieces down. Try it on the girl before you complete everything and rhinestone it, because this is where you can make the changes at this point. Let's see. You'll want to make sure you don't see skin there, unless you're doing maybe both sides and that is your goal, to see a little skin. So a little bit showing through is not a big deal. See my arm showing through, but you just want to make sure that you don't have a big patch of skin showing through. And then you'll go up and trim all these right next to, and there you go. We have turned a halter leotard with strips of fabric and a zigzag stitch into this leotard. Thank you for watching our video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure and click here to subscribe, because we're going to have some amazing DIY videos coming out. And if you want to get our free complete dance costume DIY guide, click right here, or go to bdancewear.com/DIY guide. And lastly, if you have any questions or ideas for future videos, please leave it in the comments below. Thanks again for watching our video, and remember, be original, be colorful, bdancewear.com.